We thought this might be the game that would be competitive and close after a couple of early blowouts, but that did not turn out to be the case.
No, not at all. But we knew this young, resilient Denver team would come out and play well at home. They've gotten their feet wet now in this series. And for me, the deciding factor tonight was their bench. You look at what Will Barton has done since he's been thrust to the bench, and he's given that lineup spark. He's given them energy.
Yep.
He scored 17 points tonight. Their bench outscored the Spurs. They had 39 points this evening, and that was the difference in the ball game. But San Antonio's going home, and we know they'll play better. So I think this will be a 7-game series. San Antonio will get the win at home, and they'll be back in Denver for a Game 7 where we know anything can happen.
If you had to ask for the perfect game out of the Nuggets, this was it. You know, their strength in numbers. 7 guys score in double figures. They moved the ball. Jokic, I'm sure he was somewhere around, where was he? 8 assists.
8 assists.
Right. But the one thing is those guys made shots. And as a young team, and your coach Mike Malone, you keep plugging away. 10 points isn't enough. 15 points isn't enough. You want to take care of business at home. And those young fellas, they're starting to believe, saying, man, we're better than the Spurs. We take care of business. We run hard. And they also, as you brought out, Jet, on the defensive end, they were excellent. Just muddying things up, playing hard, playing the scouting report. Derrick White beat us from the three-point line. Okay,
Right.
We're going to contest your mid-range, but beat us from the three.
Yep. Yeah, and he had 12 points on the night. He has been neutralized to a large degree the last couple of games. Murray, after a rough start to the season, seems to have found his way as well. 23 points on 16 shots. He also had 7 assists. Gary Harris's defense on White has been huge, and he was big offensively in the first half.
Yeah, and the one thing that he does well, he moves without the basketball. He scores in transition. He defends. He does all the little things, but he's not a point guard, and I wouldn't necessarily say Murray's really a point guard either. It's truly Jokic. So when those guys make shots, now Nikola Jokic is running that little, dribble handoff game where sometimes he keeps it, sometimes he hands it off, does the little butt screens, gets guys wide open, man, and that's a tough cover, Jet.
Yeah, tough cover. And for the Spurs, they need to get a steady dose of DeMar DeRozan and Aldridge. They were pretty much ineffective tonight. I think they kind of just went through the motions and pop a light into them a little bit, light a fire, and those guys will come out in Game 6.
You know what, I think what's tough for Pop is he hasn't really put the Spurs imprint on DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. Individually, they can go out and get their numbers. DeMar is giving you what he gave you at Toronto. LaMarcus essentially getting busy from the right block, pick and pop game. That's what he did at Portland. But haven't really bought into that Spurs system. I'm not sure if they haven't had enough time together, but in situations like this, defenses are able to key in on them. Yeah. And one thing San Antonio always got was easy buckets.
Yeah, well, Pop, they kind of made that decision the first season when Aldridge was there, and he said as much. We're going to change the offense to do what you do well. And I feel like the same has happened with DeRozan here for the most part, and this is why you see all the mid-range shots. Normally they don't take as many as 24 threes, which they did tonight, but they're also not hitting threes. 31% since Game 1, and they were only 7 of 15 in that game, but this was the best three-point shooting team in the league. Are they getting worse looks, or are they just not hitting shots?
Game plan discipline. Obviously, it's a different level in the playoffs. You know that Forbes is just a shooter. Bertans a guy you run off the line. White a guy that you can kind of close out with the late contest on. Everything's intensified once you get there. But my issue when I look at this San Antonio squad, especially in a game like this, I don't see a two-man game between DeRozan and Aldridge. They seem to be like, okay, DeRozan, you get yours. Aldridge, you get yours. White had his big night. But I don't see that cohesive unit where when you always play San Antonio, Jet, and you can speak to this, it was a pick-your-poison situation. If you double-team Tim or Manu or whoever, the ball be popping around the horn and you gave up open shots.
We're a long way from that 14 finals team, which played, I've always said, the prettiest basketball I've ever seen in the finals. This team was 22nd in the league in terms of assist percentage, to your point. They don't move it around as much as they used to, and they don't necessarily get as many easy shots as they did. No,
they don't. And for me, we know Aldridge and DeRozan will be superstars right at the end of the day. But Belinelli, Patty Mills, those glue guys, their bench guys, Rudy Gay, are the ones that are going to have to provide that extra oomph that they're going to need to move on to the next round, let alone get another win in this series. Right. They have to have an impact in the game. And when you talk about three-point shooting, Belinelli and Patty Mills historically have been great. They will be better at home tonight. Patty Mills 1 for 5, Belinelli 1 for 3. So hopefully those guys can get, some more looks when they go back to San Antonio.
In fact, no Spur hit more than 1 3. 7 threes by 7 different shooters, and some of that, frankly, was in garbage time.